is Ms. Linda Kroll, followed by Mr. Norman Caspar, thank you, Gaspar, and then Shelley Mahi Hanai. So first would be Ms. Linda Kroll.
Aloha, I'm Linda Faye Kroll. I have a nonprofit called Stop Bombing Hawaii. I am going to read a statement from Terry Lilly in solidarity with the Kauai residents. Most of you in the room have a copy of this statement. Quote, I am a marine biologist here in Kauai with over 3,000 hours into the coral reef and marine life studies. I have worked with NOAA, USGS, UH, Scripps Institute, National Geographic, Reef Check, and State Eyes of the Reef Program. I have documented the negative effects of the Navy based out of PMRF on our coral reefs and marine life. I have documented the Navy killing massive amounts of corals, sea turtles, sharks, fish, whales, and other marine life. This marine life is protected under the U.S. Endangered Species Act, as the entire Kauai coastline is the habitat for the endangered monk seal and sea turtle. The Navy is developing an underwater drone squadron using plasma energy, microwave, lasers, high voltage electronics, and other forms of electromagnetic energy underwater along Kauai, Niihau, and the Lehua coastlines. The U.S. Endangered Species Act is very clear. If anyone wishes to take an action in a habitat of an endangered species that has the likelihood of altering that habitat of that endangered species, they must do a federal environmental study before that action take place. The study is called Habitat Conservation Plan. The Navy needs to do this plan and get the incidental take report from NOAA and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to kill sea turtles, monk seals, whales, and their coral reef habitat before they do any of their war testing programs here in Kauai. There is more than enough information available to show that the habitat of our endangered species may be harmed by the new deadly underwater testing the Navy wants to do here in Kauai. I only want the Navy to conduct the needed study under the Endangered Species Act and follow the law, just like you and myself are required to do, end quote. On a historical and personal note, since 1776, the United States military has been at war 224 years out of 241 years. What does that tell you? It tells me that your masters promote constant war for profit, and today we are again being set up for the next false flag operation with North Korea, China, Russia, we don't know. We do not believe the media's constant war hype, and we do not consent to your poisonous war games impacting public health and destroying our ecosystems. The military is in a unique situation here in Hawaii because you are illegal occupiers of a friendly, peaceful, and neutral nation in the time of war. To continue your outrageous war games here, you are guilty of international war crimes, breaching of international law under the rules of occupation. We know the law. Do you? For once, do the right thing. Stop playing war in our waters and stop bombing Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kroll. And I know 3 minutes goes really, really fast, but our court reporter must be able to transcribe what you're saying, so please speak slowly. If you have more than 3 minutes worth of testimony, you can always provide it in writing. Okay, so again, she has to be able to record what you're saying for it to be in the administrative record, okay? That would be helpful too, yes, thank you. Next is Mr. Norman Gaspar.
Hello, everybody. My name is Norman Gaspar, and I serve what I thought was my country in the United States Navy from 72 to 78 with honors. I'm here today to say to you I'm serving my country, the Hawaiian Kingdom, and to inform you that you, the Navy, is in violation of international humanitarian rights and the laws of occupation. See, I've learned the truth of our Hawaiian Kingdom, so this is my responsibility to inform you of the upcoming International Commission of Inquiry, which will begin January 16, 2018 on Oahu. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr. Gaspar. Next is Shelley Mahi Hanai. Hanai, did I say that right?
Hi, aloha. My name is Shelley Stevens Mahi Hanai, and that is the correct pronunciation of Hanai. And actually, the reason that Arthur Mahi Hanai'd me, he explained to me that when a conquering chief goes into another village and conquers them, they Hanai the children. So I said, under those terms, as an American citizen, I surrender to you and you can Hanai me. And that I would give you back your country if I could. I'm an American citizen. I'm a patriot to my country. I'm also a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And I say that we as Americans, we have the apology resolution. We need to look at that. This is a neutral country, and we were involved in the overthrow of the Hawaiian Kingdom. And that if you go and look at congressional records under Foreign Relations of 1894, it shows here that actually Queen Kalani was granted that her kingdom would be restored, that she would be restored to her throne. So many things happened in the course of that. But I wanted to say it disturbs me greatly that, that Hawaii is the largest training ground. That disturbs me when actually we're here as a belligerent occupier. Now, I just wanted to let the Navy know, if they hadn't heard before, that we had what's called the Treaty of Friendship, Commerce, and Navigation. And that at the time of the overthrow, I took international law class, cultural resource management. I've been involved with Department of Defense consultation with Native Hawaiians and other things, including Department of State with the White House on certain oceanic issues. But the thing I wanted to convey to the Navy is that the Hawaiians, according to international law and belligerent occupants, are entitled to whatever was on the books at the time of the overthrow. And for the Navy, that also includes protection from the United States of America, that they would provide protection at the request of the chiefs and people of the Hawaiian Kingdom, or Ko Hawaii Pai Aino. But that's going to be up to the Native Hawaiians and the incoming kingdom. And I suggest, as an American citizen, that we do the right thing and that we look at this protectorate status that we had before at the time of the overthrow, and that we need to work on consultation issues, and it actually does fall under federal undertakings, and consultation with the Native Hawaiian chiefs. A lot of them are here in the room today. So, and it's different from a public hearing. I do know that as my training. And I wanted to say also, in the few seconds I have left, that I've just got back from New York and the United Nations, and actually involving the United States of America, and how there are 26 permits for ocean mining coming up in 2018, and that it's actually an issue of national security because there's strategic metals and damage to the environment southeast and west of Hawaii. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody in this room knows that so far as the Navy and the United States of America, that we do have to do the right thing, and I just want to let everybody know about the ocean mining. Thank you, and mahalo.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comment. Jan Salerno is next, followed by Lloyd Good.
Aloha, mahalo. I want to thank everybody who's come out tonight. I'm representing Kona side and our cetacean here. We live amongst these cetacean in a marine mammal sanctuary and a humpback whale sanctuary. We have 18 different odontocetes. I've swam with maybe half of these animals. It's our job as stewards, sacred stewards, to protect these animals. No collateral damage is, appropriate. I was looking at the 800 some odd page document, and it spoke to the socioeconomics that there wouldn't directly result in any direct loss of income or revenue or employment or resource or the quality of experience, and I disagree. That's kind of a false science. The cumulative impacts at ES 0.6.3, all these animals, the turtles, the cetacea, the fishes, the reptiles, and the habitats would all be greatly affected. We're in a sanctuary. This legacy of the military coming in and bombing paradise is not one to continue. Where we need to go from here and forward is to establish pure protection and that quality of life for our children, for our people, and the animals and the land that we have here now. There's a lot of people here to speak, but I just say thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salerno. Mr. Good? And then followed by Abraham, forgive me, Suckleg. Thank you.
Hello. I'd like to speak on behalf of our cetacean relations from their perspective. Dolphins and whales are completely acoustic creatures. Their survival is dependent upon being able to see underwater, which is often murky and it gets dark out. They can't be without sight for any period of time. They see with sound. They also speak with sound. When a dolphin or a whale is deafened, it is blind. And it might not be evident right away. They cannot find food, they can't navigate. But they may be out there for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or however long it takes for them to starve to death. So any environmental impact statement, it must extend to at least a month after an explosion or a sonic blast, because that's how long it takes for a dolphin or a whale to starve to death. Any incident of a marine mammal appearing on a beach anywhere nearby or maybe even far away has to be possibly attributed to whatever testing has taken place. It's been known that whales, when they're in Hawaii and they change their songs, the humpback whales in Mexico will change their songs as well. So their acoustic ability travels all the way across oceans through thermoclines. We've only begun to understand the sensitive nature of their acoustic abilities. Dolphin trainers often learn that they're pregnant from their dolphins that see a tiny baby inside of them. They have ultrasound, these creatures. So that would be my comment, that any environmental statement is expanded geographically and over a period of time that allows for the imminent starvation of a marine mammal that is deafened and therefore blinded by this activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Good.
My name is Abraham Sadegh, and I'm the founder of the Universal Realm of the Lord Almighty. I was born in Iran in a Shiite family. I discovered that it is, after going to Iran, that it is actually a cult of personality. So I started this new I call faith, because at the essence of it is that believing in God is optional, and that would include the rest of humanity. Believing in humanity is not. The comments today is not mine. I found out about this meeting just a few days ago from the newspaper. So I started looking in the internet to the environmental impact statement to see what I could offer. And there was a comment in there by Ms. Kohan Paik. Is she here? You are, Ms. Do you mind if I read your comment? You don't know what it is? Well, you'll learn. This is it. First of all, there's a comment before that, and it says, it seems that they should be practicing the waters in the near North Korea. And then Ms. Pike comment is, they are practicing in the waters near North Korea. And I'll read the rest of it, and as fast as I can. That's why the North Koreans are considering it a provocation, but they are also practicing in the waters of Alaska, where the 2014 Navy EIS stated that 182,000 whales would be killed or maimed between 2015 and 2020. That same year, another Navy EIS predicted that in the Hawaiian waters alone, there would be 9.6 million Crucians maimed or killed from Navy sonar. The Navy is also practicing in the water surrounding Marianas Island, where marine life is far richer and biodiversity than Hawaiian waters. The waters are so unexplored and undeveloped that they don't even have a proper baseline to predict how many takes will result from these war games in Marianas. Every 2 years in Australia, for 10 days in July, a horrific exercise called Tasman Sabre takes place that consists of 33,000 soldiers, 21 ships, Osprey and Cobra helicopters, jet fighters, 3 submarines, amphibian assault ships, and over 200 aircrafts to pretend to military control of the world. It might be pretend for the soldiers, but for the creatures undersea, it's a holocaust. From November 3 through 6, the U.S. teamed up with Japan and India for ocean war games in the Sea of Japan. And in the Philippines, every year, 12,000 troops conduct naval war games off Palawan, the nation's most beautiful island located in the wondrous Coral Triangle. There are also war games every year with Singapore using destroyers and warplanes and attack submarines, jet fighters, helicopters, drones, and troops. Likewise, such games take place every year in August in Java Sea with Indonesia. I'm going to end it there. One suggestion I have for our country is to start a Department of Peace.
Thank you for your comment. If you wouldn't mind, please, and a reminder for everybody, please spell your last name for the court reporter. Thank you.
My name is Kali Gumopak with Aha Kanaka Council Moku Keawe, GUMAPAC. On January 16th through the 17th, 2018, the International Commission of Inquiry from the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague will convene a hearing in Honolulu. The Commission is requested to determine first what the function and role of the government of the Hawaiian Kingdom in accordance with basic international humanitarian laws. Second, what are the duties and obligations of the government of the Hawaiian Kingdom towards all Hawaiian subjects domiciled in Hawaiian territory? And third, what are the duties and obligations of the government of the Hawaiian Kingdom toward protected persons who are domiciled in the Hawaiian territory? Evidence of war crimes in the Hawaiian Kingdom will be introduced that will include violation of international humanitarian laws, admission of no treaty of annexation exists between the United States and the Hawaiian Kingdom, the unlawful occupation of a military force in a neutral state, and more. Here's an example. Complaints were filed by Attorney Dexter Kayama with the U.S. Pacific Command, Office of United Nations High Commissioner of Human Rights in Geneva, Switzerland, against the fake state of Hawaii judges, depriving his clients, who are Hawaiian Kingdom subjects, of their right to a fair and regular trial during occupation. Being a war crime under the 1949 Geneva Convention 4, the basis of the complaints were the 1893 Liliuokalani Assignment and Restoration Agreement, known as the Executive Agreements, between she and President Cleveland. International compacts of 1907 Hague Convention 4 and the 1949 Geneva Convention 4 and the U.S. Army Field Manual 27-10. County of Hawaii Police Officer Leland Pa initiated the inquiry on September 2012 as part of his duty as to potentially look at serious law enforcement issues and government problems. He stated that he began the inquiry to see how he would be affected as a police officer and if it would pose potential problems for law enforcement and government officials. On November 8, 2012, Pa called the headquarters of the U.S. Pacific Command at Camp Smith in Honolulu and spoke with Ronald Winfrey, a Principal Deputy Sheriff Judge Advocate, JAG officer. And at that time, he told Winfrey of his concerns and how these complaints could affect his duties as a police officer. When asked about the complaints, Winfrey said he knows about those complaints and he has read it precisely and it was written very well. Pa said that he began and Winfrey responded, "Oh yes, I know about those because there is not a treaty of annexation that exists." And so to finish up, I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that I wanted to include in here. The territorial waters of the Hawaiian Kingdom exist of 16 islands. And in those 16 islands, there is a total of 6,427,074 square miles, which includes Hawaii, Maui, Oahu, Kauai, Molokai, Lanai, Niihau, Kaho'olawe, Nihua, Molokini, Lehua, Kaula, Laysan, Lisiansky, Palmyra, and Ocean. And the Navy is violating our neutral territories by doing that. You must stop.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we have Hanalei Fergenstrom, followed by Jim Albertini.
Thank you. My name is Hanalei Fergenstrom. Last name is spelled Fergerstrom. And I'm the spokesperson for Nakapuna Moko Kiapi, which is a gathering of elders from all 6 districts of the island of Hawaii. I'm going to read you a letter that has been sent to your offices, but I wanted to make sure it was read here. Dear sirs, I humbly approach you with a very important information that needs to be considered before you finalize your EIS. Please understand that this is a very difficult letter to write, as there are so many factors that I will point out as to domestic and international laws that need to be adhered to. Please note that the Hawaiian Islands, as well as the archipelagic territories, are the sole properties of the Hawaiian Kingdom. This statement is based on the fact that there was never a treaty of annexation between the Hawaiian Kingdom and the United States of America. There is also no lawful documentation that adheres the United States and the Hawaiian Kingdom other than the treaties of reciprocity. Your assertion of authority within the Hawaiian Kingdom properties can only be perceived as an intentional violation of international law. The Hawaiian Kingdom is recognized as an independent nation state on the same footings as the United States of America. The Hawaiian Kingdom is further recognized as a neutral country similar to that of Switzerland. The United States is in violation of international treaties regarding movement of troops and otherwise training in foreign territories considered and recognized as neutral. As your documentation expresses that your training is from the Southern California area through and includes the Northwest Hawaiian Islands down through the Hawaiian Archipelago and ends up here on the island of Hawaii in an area known as Puakaloa Military Training Area. This Puakaloa Training Area sits in the Apua'a, or land division of Kauai, which remains as Crown and government lands as designated through the Great Mahele of the Hawaiian Kingdom. On that same note, it appears that the United States of America is attempting to move its western territorial borders from Southern California over to the Northwest Hawaiian Islands, and may also be in violations of the laws of the territorial seas. Without a treaty of annexation between the Hawaiian Kingdom and the United States of America, there is no lawful means to suggest that the so-called state of Hawaii, its representatives, and its agencies have any lawful authority to speak on behalf of the Hawaiian Kingdom government, and therefore any agreement with the so-called state of Hawaii is null and void, as it lacks an authority to act on behalf of the Hawaiian Kingdom government and Crown, until such time as there is a presentation of any lawful documentation revealing any treaty of annexation of the Hawaiian Kingdom to the United States. Please note that your presence in the Hawaiian Kingdom and your intended training area within the Hawaiian archipelago should be considered an intentional violation of international norms regarding states of neutrality and further violates the treaties of reciprocity between the United States of America and the Hawaiian Kingdom. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fergenstrom. Next is Mr. Jim Albertini, followed by, it looks like N.K. Harmon. Just give us one moment. We're going to make it a slight adjustment for Mr. Albertini.
Jim Albertini, I'm here to share a song I wrote 32 years ago. 1985, the year after myself and others did a swim for peace in Hilo Bay to uphold our nuclear-free zone, the first nuclear-free zone in the United States, against a visiting nuclear warship from Pearl Harbor. And this is a shortened version of a song called The Ballad of Pearl Harbor, Matthew chapter 7, verse 6. And it starts off, "Do not give what is holy to dogs, or cast your pearls before swines. They will trample them underfoot at best, perhaps even tear you to shreds." We showered you with our pearls, but you wanted even more. You took away our mother pearl, raped, plundered, and trampled her. We were blinded by your breath of fire. You made us very proud. We worshipped you not knowing we're losing our soul. Take back the pearl for the people. Let Mother Pearl shine again, and give life back to the land, and welcome all of her rainbow children that bridge the ocean of peace. You poisoned the waters, you destroyed the fish ponds, you killed the fish and the oysters, and desecrated holy lands. You put up fences and iron gates. You brought in disease and waves of death. Take back the pearl for the people. Let Mother Pearl shine again, and give life back to the land, and welcome all of her rainbow children that bridge the ocean of peace. We have been fools. Now we're going to change it. We have been fools. And eyes are now opening. No longer will we worship you or follow in your ways. Depart from us with your poison quills and deadly unhatched eggs. Everybody, take back the pearl for the people. Let Mother Pearl shine again, and give life back to the land, and welcome all of her rainbow children that bridge the ocean of peace, that bridge the ocean of peace.
Thank you, Mr. Albertini. Mr. or Ms. Harmon?
Recently, Noam Chomsky made a statement, he's a retired professor from MIT, that the authorities, the government in the USA, including the Pentagon, do not care about the consequences of their actions. I believe that this is mostly theater. I would bet that the bombing would go on. It's like the primary that was decided a year in advance. The primary didn't matter who, to give us a chance to choose who we wanted to run as our candidate. And I believe that this is another theater, that the bombing will happen. And someone mentioned America having war crimes. Well, the United Nations is manipulated to the point that the crimes are not allowed to go to the court. So they'll never be heard.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon. Move this back a little bit. Okay, Corey Hardin.
Aloha, Corey Hardin, Harden. Every time I go to a military hearing, I'm reminded of the quote from Vietnam: "We had to destroy the village in order to save it." I think we need a strong defense, but if we destroy what we're defending, what's the point? I'm concerned that the presentations a few minutes ago really downplayed the scope of what is proposed. I find it unacceptable that this EIS wipes out protections for marine mammals that were only won by years of litigation, and those protections were only in place for a few years. Let's see, Dave Henkin of Earth Justice said what the Navy is proposing will be more destructive than what there was in the settlement from the legal agreement. And as far as Oli Nui Haha Channel, Dave Henkin from Earth Justice says the Navy proposes no limitation on how much training and testing they can do in that area, and the area is really critical for a lot of marine mammals that only live here. And again, Dave Henkin saying there's no good reason why they can't look at alternatives that would involve protection of marine mammal habitats. And there is a scientist, Robin Baird, pointing out that there's no other place in the world where there are 10 resident species around an island, and there's a unique combination of conditions that make it an ideal place for the populations to survive. What else here? I am concerned that there's no hearing in Kona. I mean, 4-hour round trip is a long ways to drive. I looked in the EIS trying to figure out numbers of marine mammals and others that would be affected, and it was extremely hard to find. I asked around here. That information should be upfront, exactly how many animals and other life will be affected by this training. I'd also like to see long-term effects on animals from, explosions and sonar and all kinds of things. To me, it's kind of like the helicopters coming over people's houses. If you were not a human and you were watching the humans, you'd say, well, there's a short-term behavioral shift. But you don't see the people with post-traumatic stress disorder, how it's affecting them. You don't see the children having nightmares. You don't see the people going crazy because they can't get away from this noise. And of course, with marine animals, it's worse. They can't communicate and find their way. What else? Also, I tried to understand the method the Navy used to evaluate effects. They did some kind of averaging, and I read through it a couple times. And I would like to see evidence that this model really works. Of course, there's the old trick of you develop your conclusion, then you develop a method that will lead you to that conclusion that you want to have. We know that one. So, and I think, the introduction, they referred to the National Marine Fisheries Service as a partner. I don't think they're a partner. I think they're overseeing what's happening. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hardin. Next is Michelle Prevost, followed by Nelson Ho.
Aloha. My name is Michelle Prevost. It's with a Prevost. I am an activist, a protector of our sacred Mother Earth. There are most likely dangers to sea life from the underwater testing the Navy does. We need to respect the life that keeps our world healthy and in balance. I do not feel the Navy is doing this. There will be serious consequences if we do not respect this balance. I feel greed is rampant in America. It's an epidemic. Let's do what is Pono, what is good, and protect what is left, what is sacred. We must do this for our children and beyond. Science has been proven wrong many times. They are not God, goddess. Protect sea life's home. If the ocean dies, we die. Mahalo.
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Nelson Ho. And will be followed by Dave Sansone.
Aloha. My name is Nelson Ho, H-O. I would like to call for the EIS determining a no-action alternative. That's the best of all the three choices that are given to us. I think that all of the people here who feel that same way should state that, if nothing else, that you want, based on your knowledge, the Navy to choose the no-action alternative. The U.S. is already the most warring nation on the planet. They already control the largest military theater on the planet, the Pacific Ocean. There is no need to further toxify, poison, and lay waste to the oceans surrounding this archipelago. It is unnecessary. The military has not cleaned up its warfare training grounds that go back to before World War II. They are all over this archipelago. It's not a state. They should clean up, they should use the money that will go into this military activity to clean up what they have dirtied and polluted before any further thoughts of training. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ho. Mr. Sansone? And Mr. Sansone will be followed by Lei Kalamau.
Thank you for having me. My name is David Sansone, S-A-N-S-O-N-E. And thank you all for being here tonight, taking the time to come up and express how you feel. So I too would like to see a no action on the sonar training, because I'm opposed to all U.S. Navy activity and operations in Hawaii, including war games and sonar training, because number one, the Kingdom of Hawaii is occupied and has been over 100 years. There is no treaty of annexation with the Kingdom of Hawaii, so I encourage you all, the decision makers, to do your homework and talk to the other commander up at the base. He's been talked to, he knows the status. And they're always changing the commanders, right? Changing who's in charge so that they can't really keep up with the people on the ground here. But also, the U.S. is putting everyone in Hawaii at risk with this training, and then also using Hawaii more or less as a launching pad to attack other locations on Earth. The corporate media and the government-funded patriotism mask the reality that the U.S. is actually the world's largest aggressor, with a military that is larger than the 7 next countries combined. Yemen right now is basically underneath genocide and is being funded by the U.S. There's military training for so many countries where we've subverted democracies, kingdoms, or communist countries, whatever they are. The reason is they want the resources, and it's not for us, it's for the elites. So I'm opposed to the sonar training because of the legacy of practices imposed by foreigners in the past in Hawaii. Sugarcane plantations extensively used arsenic-based fertilizers before it was known it was a threat to human health. Now, Hawaii's soils are contaminated with arsenic. Wherever sugarcane was grown, there's arsenic in that soil. So if you're growing food, you have to scrub it. There's also lead. And the lesson learned is you don't know what you don't know. And when it comes to the sonar, we can get information, but what's going to happen 50 years down the road when people scratch their head and say, oh, we didn't realize that at the time. Thank you. I'll finish. And I just ask you to look deep within your hearts. The decision makers, look deep within your hearts and stand for what's right, even if it's not convenient. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sansone. Next is Lei Kalamau, followed by Nancy Monroe, followed by Millicent Cummings.
Kalamau. I know we need the military. Hawaii needs your protection. You gotta practice. You gotta train. But let me make a picture. I get Social Security, retirement, and with that, I get plenty bills. So I gotta use the Social Security to pay my bills, and then now, in 3 weeks, I no more money. So I gotta stay home, sit on a bench with other senior citizens, and we gotta talk to kill time. So I like some more Social Security benefits so that I get enough money for the end of the month. You like increased training. You like some more ocean. You feel that you gotta need more. Like me, I need more. But you cannot have more. I cannot have more. This is how I'm gonna live. If you get $100,000, I like that. And then you can have your increase. From me, not from anybody else. That's what I'm saying. But I'm not going to get $100,000. I like one Range Rover sport car. I'm not going to get that. The Navy already using Kauai Pacific Missile Range Facility. You get room for train already. You don't need anymore. It's called self-reliance. I have to live within my means. If I know more, I know more. Fortunately, we still get Medicaid and food stamps. As a Hawaiian, all these things is piecemeal for what they took from us when Queen Ililiuokalani was trying to help her people. I brought up on Hawaiian homelands. Hawaiian homelands was given 200,000 acres of land. The government took the rest. And what kind of lands we get? Up in the mountain, in the cracks of the cave, in the forest, and we gotta do the best we can. And we're still struggling today. And then you're asking for some more. Please, I have to sit at home and look at the news. 5 pilot whales die after traumatizing stranded on Kauai. I know it's sonar. I know it is, but the Navy was so shady and vague in their wording that they don't know what's the sonar. So we're not sure if the sonar will bring these animals on the sand because they was trying to get away from this sonar effects. That's how they died. In my view, that's how they died. Now you want to bring some more, and you tell me mitigating measures.
Thank you, Ms. Kalamau.
Nancy Monroe. And I found out this past January that I am a Blue Star mother. I have a son that's in the U.S. Marines. I found this out when I was standing with Jim Albertini and Cindy Sheehan on Wainui'nui Avenue protesting the bombing at Puhakuloa. Cindy has earned the achievement of being a Gold Star mother. Her son died. I don't want to be a Gold Star mother. I understand the need for training that the military has and the purpose of that training. More than half of the US budget goes to the military, and I don't feel like we are no longer protecting freedom. We're fighting for oil, and we're fighting for corporate greed. Okay. And by what authority is the Navy even within 12 miles of Hawaiian coastal shores? We all know now, and if you don't know, you haven't been listening, there's no lawful treaty of annexation making Hawaii part of the United States. Without a treaty, this is an illegal occupation. We are almost on the eve of the 100th anniversary of the death of Queen Liliuokalani. When I learned the truth about the Queen, and that she was supposed to have been restored to the throne by order of the president after an investigation, it changed my life. Without a treaty, you have no business being here. The military is occupying Hawaii unlawfully. The Hawaiian Kingdom would be just fine, just like Switzerland is fine, with treaties with dozens of other countries. America has been a poor steward of these islands. The invasive species capital of the world. Kaho'olavi is wrecked. I've been there. You better not step beyond the path. You could blow up. They've had a cleanup effort that has failed, $60 million and more. The American military is a huge polluter of the world. Also, who gives the permit if you have an EIS and say, oh, everything's going to be fine? What are the acceptable take levels? Who authorizes the permit? Who's authorized to give a permit? These are questions that aren't answered yet. That's really all I have to say. I believe that the decisions are already made. Public hearings are just a show. No matter what anybody says, it's a done deal. We're just here fulfilling a requirement that a public hearing is held. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Monroe. Ms. Cummings?
Aloha, aloha. Cummings, C-U-M-M-I-N-G-S. I formed this for you guys and for everyone as I've been sitting here listening to this valuable testimony that, of course, we know what's going to eventually happen to it based on scientific, empirical experience. It's not likely to actually penetrate your heart and illuminate the military's mind to the insanity that is relentlessly going on under the name of science. Continued military testing and all its activity here in Hawaii is illegal, unscientific, arrogant, outdated, entirely reckless, and inhumane.
Thank you, Ms. Cummings. Next is Julie Stitz, followed by Shannon Matson.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Julie Stitz, S-T-I-T-Z. I watched the video that the Navy had put out, and says freedom of the seas, and I think if there's freedom of the seas, this means all life in the sea should have the freedom to live in its home. In 2015, the federal court settled 2 cases challenging the U.S. Navy training and testing off the coast of Southern California and Hawaii. This is the first time the Navy agreed that they can instruct their ships to stay away from certain areas that are protected for marine mammals. This is from an article, The Navy Agrees to Limit Underwater Assaults on Whales and Dolphins, September 2015. The environmental impact statement's purpose is to look into alternatives. And it's clear that the Navy is capable to do testing in limited areas to better respect the protected marine mammals' lives and their habitats. The environmental impact statement should include a decreased study area than what was already agreed upon in 2015 in federal court. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matson. Next, we have Lila Anderson.
Hi, my name is Lila Anderson, Anderson, and I'm here to protest against the sonar because we have a special whale, and they go by the name of blackfish, and they do not migrate. They stay here. They have made an aggregate site here, and the Hawaiian Islands are very special to have these animals here. And the sonar testing penetrates the mind of usually like whales, and it really, really hurts them because they can hear a very long distance away, and sometimes they could be a little bit too close to where the sonars are being tested, or a little bit in between. So it hurts them either way as long as they are in the range of the explosion or sonar testing. And they can strand themselves from trying to get away from the sound. They can do many things from getting away from the sound. Thank you.
Thank you, Lila.
Aloha mai. Because I'm a Kanaka, I got this protocol. Our protocols is to first kahea to our kupunas and our aumakuas to call them to be present in this room with us today. So whoever's in the crowd would like to join me in the eho mai, please do. Eho mai kai ke mai luna mai e. O na mea una noe au o na mele. Eho mai, eho mai, eho mai, eho mai kai ke mai luna mai e. O na mea huna noe au o na mele. Eho mai, eho mai, eho mai, eho mai kai ke mai luna mai e. O na mea huna noe au o na mele. Eho mai, eho mai, eho mai e. Mahalo ke akua aloha wia oi 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 o. My name is Earl De Leon, capital D, capital L-E-O-N, ke o kalani kupo pai kalani nui maele, from the south side of Moko o Keawe, Kukuyo Pai. I stand before you today as an old-time warrior, one of the first Kanakas at 21 years old. If you guys don't know me, one of the first guys got arrested on the island of Kaho'olawe during the time of the bombing. I was 21 years old at that time. I never knew what I was doing, where I was going, and why I was going. All I knew is that the kupunas took me there. They took me there for one reason, to open my maka, to open my na'au, to open my brains to see what was they was doing there. We watched day after day. The flares go up at night. They bomb the shit out of that island. Bomb, 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 bomb. The whole island, Maui, Molokai, Lanai, all the islands shaking. And guess what? They never stopped. Took us, crazy Kanakas, to go over there at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, swimming to the island from 200 yards out in the ocean while they was bombing the island. They were shooting bombs, rim pack, from the ocean onto the land. And these 7 crazy Kanakas went onto that aina to stop that bombing. Because that's our tutu, that's our papahanau moku. That is our relation. This moku aina Hawaii is our mother's earth. She has a name. Her name is Papahanau Moku. So, being on the island of Kaho'olawe, I learned what aloha aina is. Aloha aina to love something like you love yourself. Like your grandmother. You don't prostitute your grandmother. You don't hurt your grandmother. You malama your grandmother. You malama your mother. You take care your ohana. You take care of your ohana. And it just doesn't stop on the aina. It goes into the ocean as far as your eye can see. Walking on that island, knowing that any minute, any second, bombs all around us. As soon as we jumped into that water, we swimming. You can see bombs poke all inside the pohaku, all over the island. When it killed me, inside of me, my heart was like, how can anybody do this to this aina? How can you kill our Mother Earth? But America, the most terrorized country in the world, continues to do this 40 years later. I stand before you. I was the first EIS hearing in 1977 in Kona, fighting to stop the bombing of Kaho'olawe. I am proud to say that we didn't stop them on Kaho'olawe, but they came over here to Po'akoloa. They were in Makua Valley. We were in Makua Valley. We stopped them over there. We have a big battle right now in Po'akoloa, in the ocean. I look on the land, all the bombs on the land. Can you imagine what get in the ocean? The pollution, the desecration. It has to stop. It has to stop. Brother Khalid's testimony, eloquent, no jurisdiction. Laila, your testimony, beautiful, unbelievable. When one child has to stand up and remind us our kuleana, when one child has to remind us what our kuleana is, what is our responsibility to this mokuaina Hawaii? You all live here, every one of you guys. Filipino, Japanese, Chinese, no matter what you are, you is a people, you is a human being. Your kuleana is to malama this aina, malama the
Thank
air,
you, Mr. De Leon.
malama everything that is around you.
Thank you, sir.
It's our kuleana.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your comment. Next is Roxanne Stewart, followed by Ronald Fujiyoshi, and then Keoloa Bishoda. Thank you.
Aloha kākou. My name is Roxanne Stewart, S-T-E-W-A-R-T, for the record. I am a Kanaka Maoli practitioner here from Moku'o Keawe. I'm a Lokoi'a practitioner. I'm a Kanaloa practitioner. I'm a public school teacher. I'm a marine biologist from UH Hilo, UH Manoa. I'm currently in the middle of my doctorate research right now. I stand here representing the over 22 generations of my family that call this aina home, and I represent the 22 generations that are in my wake. Therefore, with that kuleana, we have an inherent responsibility to be stewards, which means that we hold in trust this aina for the 22 generations that are in my wake. For the Navy, you have no stake beyond the longevity of sustainability of these islands. You have no standing. National security will always be the trump card that you want to play, but you will not have to live with or answer for these heva. We will. At one point in the military history, realistic testing on humans was deemed critical to national security. But was that really critical to national security? And if your answer is yes, how ethical or moral was that necessity of security? And how temporary were those behavioral shifts? For our Kanaloa practices, they are our religious practices. They are key to our cultural vitality. Other scientists, such as Robin Baird, document the uniqueness of our populations of Kanaloa here, found nowhere else on planet Earth. I was one of the practitioners called to Kauai to assist our practitioners there in the response that we all know was due to sonar. And all of the things that we currently know about Kanaloa are only what they have allowed us to see and understand. There is much more to our Kanaloa that they have not revealed to us yet because we have not earned that right. The cultural resource programs that you highlight in your documents are cosmetic at best. And in my experience with NOAA, who is currently criminally prosecuting myself and Kealoha Pishoda for one take for traditional burial of a Kanaloa. In my experience, the more pretty you need to make the propaganda, the more heva you have to disguise. And kind of real pretty, the propaganda here. You cannot stamp your tag on the life work of cultural practitioners and say that you are contributing to cultural restoration.
Pulling weeds a couple of times does not give you a free pass to potentially kill off an entire species. The hypocrisy of military and government organizations like NOAA and MFS, who criminalize practitioners and good Samaritans but yet condone and make it easier for takes, can no longer be tolerated. There is no benefit to the Navy to disclose data that puts actions in a bad light. 99.9% of take should be behavioral and temporal, right? However, I did not see anything in the pages and pages of documents that say that you are going to follow every single individual kanaloa to actually see if that behavior response is temporal. The facade of seeking public input with only 4 sessions to reach all of our kanaka is laughable. Statistics can be misleading. You say less than 0.03% is the estimated take, but 50,000 of that is 1,500. There's no benefit to the military to utilize alternatives because it doesn't fit your proctor. I also call for the Navy to choose the no action alternative, and for the record, there has been not one stance of support at this meeting. You use the most current and best available science possible. However, you have not consulted this scientist who has studied these kanaloa for 15 years.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
Do
Your
not
time
underestimate
is
the
up.
ancestral commitment we have to protect what is in the best
Stewart,
interest
thank
of
you for your
national
comment.
security of Kanaka Maoli, which includes standing for and
Ma'am.
dying for our Mo'oku Auho and our Kanaloa.
Thank you for your comment. The time is up.
At the very beginning of that line.
You can turn in your comment in writing. Thank you very much. Next is Mr. Ronald Fujiyoshi, followed by Kealoha Bishoda.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Ronald Fujiyoshi, F-U-J-I-Y-O-S-H-I. Up until this year, I was the pastor at the Olau First Hawaiian Church. My experience with EIS is it is a shibai. It's a drama, a procedure that they force you to go through, but it doesn't make any difference because they do whatever they wanted to do in the first place. So here you bring nice-looking people, clean-shaven, a short haircut to give you an impression that everything is clean and nice when you have to look at the bigger picture. The Navy first came to Hawaii because they wanted Pearl Harbor. And Pearl Harbor, for its military strategic presence here for the whole Pacific. And I think that's the basic reason why they're here. And then you see what they have done in polluting Pearl Harbor. And then you heard from our brother Earl De Leon about what they did to Kaho'olawe. So that's the big picture. So what do you really want the Navy to do? I grew up on Kauai, and I was honored to be arrested twice at PMRF. Now, PMRF, you know, was a sacred burial ground. And Kalakaua, when he was ill, went over to the PMRF burial grounds to get the mana from the bones, so that even they take a sacred place like mana on Kauai and make it for their own military purposes. So I think here in Hawaii, as well as all of the Pacific, we go on a culture of hospitality. When you take something, you give something back, you know? I see what the Navy has not been a good neighbor. It's been giving a facade of being a good neighbor, being clean-shaven, but all it's been doing is taking. Now, if you really want to give back, I think what you should do is, for example, we have a problem with housing in Hawaii. The Navy should give half of their housing and then build more housing for people who can't afford housing. Or they should make a commitment that Navy will no longer participate in using puakulo for training. I think that's what they should give back. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Kealoha Bishoda.
Yes, Kealoha Bishoda.
Thank you. And yes.
P-I-S-C-I-O-T-T-A.
Thank you.
I need all the minutes I can have. Thank you. Okay. I am a member of the Papahanaumoku Cultural Working Group. the founder of Kaipalawa, of which Roxanne Stewart is a member, and some of our other members are here. We're a marine ocean organization, and my testimony is on behalf of Kaipalawa and Mauna Kea Nainoho, of which I am the president. First of all, you've heard everybody talk about the treaties. I'm going to talk about that we don't have the treaty. I'm going to talk about the treaties you do have with the Hawaiian Kingdom, for which I am also a subject of the kingdom. And the United States is occupying Hawaii. What I want to say first is the kanaloas, which are all whales, dolphins, anything that breathes air and swims in the ocean, generally, teach us from our chant of creation. They actually were born way before we were. They actually helped to sing all of us humans into being. So they are our elder sibling, and for us they are our amakua. And this pathway of this project goes directly in the pathway of their migrations. And those are also our human migrations, by the way. Those pathways are known by our kupuna, and our people are also in California. My auntie went to some of the tribes, and they met us many years ago during the time of Cortez and Montezuma's war. They have ki'is that are carved of our people and our canoes. So we are connected to this whole corridor where all of this is to go on. So we oppose it. We definitely want the no action alternative. But I need to lay down also, Kaipalawa was a witness for the lawsuit from Earth Justice, and we were a witness for Conservation Council. But this consultation is one level, but we're requesting consultation under the Office of Native Hawaiian Relations in DC. Because the treaty you do hold is in mutual friendship. Treaties are to be honored. So here's a couple other things. I want to request consultation, direct consultation with the Navy, with the Native Hawaiian community. Also Section 106 consultation, because we have sacred sites that will be affected. Anytime any of the kanaloas are affected and they affect Native Hawaiian practice and religion, we get that consultation. So we're formally asking the Navy to begin those consultations with the Hawaiian community again. 3 minutes is not enough, and it's disrespectful to just come here and give only people 3 minutes and hold up signs on such an important issue. And also, just 1 second, I'm almost done. You need to include cumulative impact. Cumulative impact is past, present, and reasonable foreseeable. So that includes all of the Navy action in the Pacific needs to be a part of this EIS. Thank you. Mahalo.
Next is Miss Shannon Matson, followed by Katie Benjamin.
Shannon Matson, M-A-T-S-O-N, like the shipping company, but no relation. I feel like a tiny bit like a piece of plankton in the vast Pacific Ocean, standing up here with my notes in front of the largest, most powerful military the world has ever known. The thought that my words may make a difference is sort of futile, yet here I am. I wanted to start not by thanking you, who are here as part of your job, but by thanking all the other tiny pieces of plankton who took the time out of their busy lives to show up. We are here, and our mana'o is important. I would like to enter into the oral record that there be a time extension before moving forward with the draft. I am planning on submitting written testimony, but the EIS is a large document, and I am still trying to understand these documents. First, I'd like to talk about compromise. I'm actually not a fan of compromise because it means both sides have to settle or give up something. I would rather find a win-win scenario if one exists. It's hard to imagine one in this particular situation, as basically our win would be that the military-industrial complex packs up ship, pun intended, and gets out of these illegally occupied lands and works towards repairing the damage they've done to the planet thus far. And your win is probably that you don't have to listen to environmental activists with very little military experience tell you what rules and restrictions they think you should have to follow as you try to do your job of protecting and serving the US interest in the world. My tax dollars pay for your huge military, so you have to listen, and I am grateful for that. So what is the win-win here? I know you have a lot of people far smarter and better paid than me who can work on that solution. Perhaps a large, think Olympic-sized facility can be built somewhere with huge, deep underground pools that you can run your simulation of some of these testings in. This would add to the secrecy of your operations, create jobs, make America great again, and get you out of having to do all the crazy paperwork to attempt to be compliant with all this obnoxious red tape. Isn't there a large lake somewhere in the US with no sensitive coral and marine mammals to protect that you could test some of your equipment in and do drills? There has to be an alternative. I don't feel like you've been taken into account all possible alternatives. If you are unable or unwilling to consider other alternatives not listed in the draft EIS, I believe that the no action alternative is the only acceptable option in this EIS to comply with federal, state, and local environmental laws, especially in regards to being compliant with MMPA and Endangered Species Act. There are 38 species of marine mammals in the HSTT study area, potentially that are going to be affected by the testing. Requests for regulations and letters of authorization for the incidental taking is just a nice euphemism for murdered, as a result from this Navy testing. But there's no real way to accurately estimate the number of taking. Yet after description of each of the different 38 species, it says, there's a phrase reoccurring that says, pursuant to the MMPA, the use of sonar during testing activities as described will result in the unintentional taking of said species incidental to those activities. So how is that possible? That doesn't even make sense. The ITA authorizes the unintentional taking of small numbers of marine mammals, yet that's not defined. Define small numbers. Is it 2? Is it 10? What if there's 10 from each of the 38 species affected? Then we're talking about 380 individual animals. When is enough enough? Where do you draw the line? Basically, it boils down to the fact that the EIS is not compliant with the MMPA. I have a lot more, so if there's time at the end, I would like another 3 minutes. Mahalo.
Thank you. Katie Benjamin. Yes. Kuhan Pak.
Aloha, my name is Kuhan Pak. It's spelled P as in Paul, A-I-K. I think one could easily describe the bloated $700 billion US military in one word, and that would be overkill. The US military possesses 6,800 nuclear warheads. Overkill. The US military is the largest institutional polluter on the planet and the largest emitter of greenhouse gases of any institution on the planet. The US military has informed us in the last EIS, well, no, actually in the EIS for the Gulf of Alaska, that we can expect 182,000 takes of marine mammals for the 11 days of military naval exercises that take place annually for the years between 2015 and 2020 in the Gulf of Alaska alone. Across the Pacific, on the other side, on the north shore of Australia, we have a military exercise called Talisman Sabre, in which Australian and US troops, totaling 33,000 troops, come together with warships, destroyers, helicopters, amphibious assault vehicles, an aircraft carrier, and over 200 aircraft. One of their exercises includes dropping bombs on the Great Barrier Reef. Overkill. So it's amazing because at one time these Navy practices were as random as, say, cell phone reception in the 1990s. But under Obama, this big push to sell weapons to Asian countries took place, especially under Defense Secretary Ashton Carter, who used to work in the defense industry. And as a result, now all of the developing nations in Asia can do Navy war practice. So we have just finished this week 3 days of Navy war games in the Sea of Japan between India, Japan, and the US. We have games annually with India in the Bay of Bengal. We have games annually that are huge with the Philippines, which is the Coral Triangle, which is near the South China Sea, where there's a lot of action going on. And we have joint military practice in the South China Sea with Singapore, with Indonesia, with Bangladesh, with Brunei, with Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam. It just doesn't end. Overkill. So researchers have said that whales can hear up to 10,000 miles away, which is roughly the same distance as from Asia to North America. And we've got all of this going on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing an undersea Holocaust. Holocaust.
Thank you. Is it Yolene?
Aloha, my name is Idine Elena Sandberg. If I represent anything, it would be the whales. I'm a trained speech and language pathologist. I also studied audiology at a master's level. We're talking about numbers here around 300 decibels. That is louder than any of us have ever heard. These sounds carry hundreds of miles. I mean, even whales can speak to each other like we're talking about from continent to continent. If these sounds are going off, even if it's near Hawaii or Alaska or wherever it is, these sounds are carrying. And if there's any whales or porpoises within an area anywhere close to that, I mean, 300 decibels is probably 3 or 4 times what a jet sounds like if you're right next to the engine. It's huge noise. And I did study porpoise and whale communication when I was in college, and it's very intricate, and it is incredibly important for them to be able to hear each other. At this point, whales have had to change the pitch of their song to be able to be heard above the rumble of all the noise that's already in the oceans from the boats. So they're singing at a higher pitch, which doesn't even reach as far. So we're already affecting the whales, even if we're not putting 300 decibel blasts in the ocean. That being said, I'm actually here to tell you about a dream that I had with the whales. I was up on the Hamakua coast overlooking the ocean, miles of blue, and the entire ocean erupted with whales, breaching as far as I could see, and my heart soared for all of these whales, all of these beautiful creatures that we have on this earth. And it sank in the same instant when I realized that they were all beaching themselves. They were all coming in to the land. And I asked them in my dream, why? Why are you doing this? And they said, because we measure our lives in level of enjoyment. And we're not enjoying ourselves here on this planet any longer. And if that's how we're going to treat our creatures, then maybe we don't deserve them, which is why possibly we are in the midst of the sixth extinction age on this planet. And right now, it's being caused by human activity. We're losing 100,000 creatures every year. Every 5 minutes, we lose another species. And so I just ask that we walk wisely in this time. We're very powerful right now, and we need to move in the right direction for the right reasons. So why are we doing these things? Why do we really need to? I call for a no action alternative. I actually call for an opposite action alternative. Let's make the oceans quieter for our whales. Aloha.
Le hono ko hau I ke aloha o na hulu kupuna. He he I ka pula aloha ku I ka mana. Kani ka leo ka manu walo I ka ilikai. Vehe o ke ala ho ia ke ala o ka mauli. Pa'a ka pai pai o ke au malama lama. Ho'ola ka loko aina o ka malino. Aloha mai kākou. My name is Ruth. Most of you know me. My last name is Aloha, A-L-O-U-A. I'm pretty sure they already got me on the books. So what am I calling for? I'm calling for no action. I'm calling for deoccupation. I'm calling for demilitarization. I'm calling for a stop to all live fire training, Navy and military. You can send that to your friends. And I'm calling for an immediate cleanup of all the mess that you guys made in our homelands and in those of our friends. So y'all came up here earlier thinking that we were ignorant. We're not ignorant. We know your tactics and we know what you're up to. You said you want aloha. Why should we give you that? Why should we give the Navy our aloha or the military our aloha when you guys are poisoning our lands, our waters, and our people? Please tell me why you deserve aloha. You're proud? What are you proud of? I only flipped through 5 pages and I seen hundreds, if not thousands, of our finned and our winged relatives that'll be impacted by the games that you folks plan to play. What are you proud of? Because I'm gonna tell you, there's nothing to be proud of in this plan, and I have aloha for you, and I just gotta say this. When a native woman from Hawaii comes up here to speak and is educated and is a cultural practitioner, put your signs away. Know when to put these things away. These people, you're lucky they came tonight. These people are asking for them, for their help, and they're here to help you, and you're gonna put your sign up, take your signs to Pohakulo and tell them to stop. Tell them to stop. Then we will show them aloha. Then we'll show you aloha. So I looked through the plan, and what I want to know is, why are you guys not talking about the heartbreaks of our people? Huh? Why not? Look at these people. Our hearts break. I go into these communities, and I hear their cries. When Kanaloa washes up on shore, bring your signs, bring your posters. All of y'all getting paid for this, you come too. Give us your names, give us your numbers, give us your telephone numbers, your mailing address, because the hearts of our people are breaking every time a bomb drops. That's the truth. Now, you might think I'm angry. I'm not angry. There's a sense of urgency in my voice. How much money did you folks spend on this plan? How much money did you folks spend on this pathetic public outreach? You're not even going to all the main towns. Kona, 2.5 miles, 2.5 hours away? 5 hours total. They got to drive out here. You silencing Kona, you silencing Ka'u, you silencing Puna, Kohala, all these districts that should be heard, they're not being heard. How adequate is this? It's inadequate. That's the bottom line. So while you're ahead of the game and you haven't even started, put these plans away, get all the money that you planned on doing your revisions and your drafts, go and feed our people. House them, our people are hungry. The education system needs money, and clean up. Let's start with Koho'olawe. You want aloha? I'll show you aloha when you clean up Koho'olawe. Clean up the ocean over there. And then move your way. Actually, if you can do it at the same time, clean up Pohakuloa too. Because our people don't want this here, and I gotta say this, that your uniforms actually make our people uncomfortable. Your presence puts us into fear. I'm not in fear anymore. I'm just gonna say what it is. Who did you ask? The people are here, the people have spoken. You have no legal authority. The environmentalists have shown up and educated you. What are you gonna do with this? Do as you please? What is the point? Why are we even doing this? Think about that, let that sink in. Think about the heartbreak of our people.